Content warning for profanity, violence, and adult themes. Hi, this is Coffee McCann, and welcome to Discount Storytime, Season 2, Episode 6, Simulation Lab. Enjoy! Previously. Thank you all so much, and we will see you tomorrow morning, sharp, for Patient Simulation Lab. At that, Lucy paled and looked at a small shelf on the wall. It held a single candle and a picture of one of last year's residents, and Lucy quietly said, "May he rest in peace." Won't be late this time. And Wendell waited. And waited. And waited. Finally, Lucy popped her head in the door. "Dr. Glick, what are you okay? What happened to your scalp? Why are you here?"
"I got here early bird and what such,"
Wendell said proudly. "We're in the simulation lab, remember? You're late and Dr. Mentor is furious." Lucy and Wendell rushed out of the building.
"The simulation lab is not in the hospital?"
Wendell asked. "No, building insurance would never ever agree to that, but it's not far." They huffed and puffed through a few blocks of muddy downtown streets, then arrived at the simulation center, a small, nondescript warehouse kind of bunker. They entered Customer Service Training, LLC. The inside was made of concrete walls covered with burn and scuff marks. Before he was allowed to go any further, Wendell had to sign off on a stack of liability waivers. The physical risk indemnity waiver was over 50 pages and included blindness, death, decapitation, disembowelment, dismemberment, genital stripping, impalement, poisoning, strangulation, sudden heart rippy-outy syndrome, and even some gruesome ones. After that, Wendell was fitted with a protection outfit resembling military tactical gear. Lucy had to return to her hospital shift after dropping him off. She squeezed his arm and wished all the new residents good luck. Before walking out the door, her fox ears folded back and she closed her eyes while whispering a short prayer. Dr. Mentor, still in his white lab coat, glowered at Wendell. "Why do you think my workday revolves around your schedule, Dr. Glick?"
I was in the wrong room. I was in the conference room. I actually got there early."
He rushed up to Wendell so quickly it seemed he may strike him. Dr. Mentor towered over a cowering Wendell as saliva dripped off his large crocodile teeth. "Look around, Dr. Glick. Does this look like a conference room?"
No.
Wendell sounded small and terrified. "And did you think the conference room is the same as a simulation lab?"
No, sir."
He was on the verge of tears. "Are you about to cry? Do it, Glick. Start crying and show everyone here you are not just incompetent, but weak. And what did I say I'd do to the weak? Can you remember? The goddess made you a brain. Try using it for once. What did I say yesterday?" Dr. Mentor thrust a meaty finger into Wendell's chest. Wendell would have fallen down, but Kermit, the tall, scrawny frogling, was standing behind him and stretched out his arms and caught Wendell.
"You call the weak, sir?"
"Yes, call the weak. And their enablers." Dr. Mentor flashed dark eyes at Kermit. Wendell, exhausted, hungry, broke, finally said,
I'm not supposed to be here. I was supposed to be on Earth. I just want to go back.
For once, we agree on something, Dr. Glick. You do not belong here. But I sincerely believe a pathetic thing like you doesn't belong practicing medicine anywhere. So, whether it's St. Tetanus, our sister hospitals on Starfoon Alpha, or even your little shit heap hospitals on Earth, I'm going to make sure you never hurt a patient, even if that means going back to Earth in a box. Do you understand? You can't squirm out from under my boot, Glick. There was a long pause. Gappy stared at her shoes. Kermit stared impassively at Dr. Minter, and Scent snickered. Well, now let's try again. Dr. Minter's hippo ears wriggled excitedly. Welcome to our patient simulation lab. As is our tradition, before doing anything, we offer a moment of silence for those we have lost in previous patient simulations. He bowed his large head, and others fell in. After a moment, he looked up, and his face twisted into a smile. Today is the day. This is the moment when a young doctor's fiber is challenged to the maximum. I do take great joy in observing Simulation Lab in person. As I was saying yesterday in orientation, the most important thing is to always... He turned to Wendell with a sneer. What is the most important thing to always do, Dr. Glick? He used air quotes when saying doctor. Wendell looked desperately at his colleagues. All of them were stoic and stared on with indifference. However, Gappy mouthed something to him. He couldn't make out what she was trying to communicate. Hit something? Obey something? Wendell muttered out, Hit the obey? Dr. Minter just stared for a moment. He then took a long breath and turned to the group. Would anyone with brains like to give it a try? Resident Dr. Scent piped up, being clear to enunciate.
Get the copay, sir.
He beamed at Wendell. Very good, Dr. Scent. I see at least someone bothers to study. That is your mission. Get the copay. Now, move out, he barked. Then several things happened. The lobby lights went out, replaced with red flashing lights. A klaxon blared and a large door slid open. Behind it, 5 robots rushed out. They were bulky, triangular things about 5 feet tall and rolled around on single wheels. Red eyes glowed underneath smudged glass domes, many of which were cracked. Each robot wore a hospital gown and a gray wig. Some had purses, some had canes, some had both. They all had $10 notes taped to their chests next to a large digital counter that said 3. Wendell thought,
Well, this should be easy. Get the copay.
A robot with a cane rolled up to Wendell.
May I have your copay, please?
Wendell asked, trying for tact.
Eat death, maggot,
the robot replied. So much for tact. Wendell reached for the $10 note. The robot deftly moved backwards out of his reach. Something inside the robot made a clicking sound, and the counter went down from 3 to 2. Wendell again tried reaching for the bill on the robot's chest, The robot bopped Wendell's wrist with the cane. Again, a click, and the counter went down to 1. Wendell yelped,
Hey now, there's no need for that. I just need your...
Can't have it, youngster,
the robot said. Around the room, other residents were not having any better luck. The one exception was Gappy. She was already with the copay and stood next to a robot with a large floral purse and a gray beehive wig. Its eyes had gone from red to blue. Gappy and the robot were having a lovely chat, but Gappy watched everyone else nervously. She often patted her robot on the back and was pointing to something on its back. Wendell tried one last time to grab the bill, but this time the robot dashed away in a circle, flailing its arms like a matador. The counter clicked from 1 to 0. The robot momentarily froze. The cane in its hand broke. Well, it didn't break, it just split into 2 pieces linked with a small piece of rope. The red eyes began flashing, and the robot swung the end of the cane back and forth, then around its chest rapidly. Finally, after this display, it paused, waiting. Wendell rubbed his sore wrist.
Nunchucks? Are you kidding me?
He dared to look around, and the other robots were also using weapons. One robot began spinning its purse, with metal spikes popping out, making it like a medieval flail. Sense Robot was pinging at his feet with throwing knives, while yelling,
Dance, nerd!
Scent yipped and hopped away, and when the robot gave chase, Wendell got his first look at the robots' backs. There appeared to be a large switch on their backs. Wendell looked briefly at Gappy, who gave him a thumbs up. Wendell backed away from his nunchucks bot and sidestepped into larger and larger circles. The robots were fast when moving forward and backwards, but clunky when it came to turning. As he did this, he also came closer to Sense Robot and was able to get a good look at its back. There was a large dial with 2 markings, one for Lovely Chat and the other for Exterminate. He reached out to change the dial and felt a sharp pain as a nunchuck bounced against his forearm.
The customer is always right,
his robot barked. Wendell dashed around again, barely avoiding the swinging nunchucks and almost getting his toes hit with throwing knives. He tried luring the knife-throwing bot to throw at his robot's wheels, but no luck. Wendell thought,
They must have sensors to prevent attacking each other.
Wendell ran again in a circle and tried reaching for his robot's back dial. Unfortunately, the robot would swing nunchucks behind him to protect the area. Wendell ran around again and happened to be again within reach of Scent's knife-throwing robot. This one couldn't throw behind it, and Wendell reached out and was able to quickly turn the dial. Immediately, the robot's eyes went from flashing red to serene blue. It calmly rolled up to Scent, told him he reminded it of its nephew, such a nice young man, and it handed the $10 bill to Scent. Wendell looked to see how well Kermit was doing, but that additional delay cost him as he felt a sharp prod into his flank. His nunchucks bot spat,
In my day we respected our elders, you delinquent!
Wendell went red with rage. He had had enough, nunchucks or not. Wendell began looking for something, anything, that could be used as a weapon, or at least to neutralize this stupid machine. No luck. He did see, however, a large bag draped on the arm of Gappy's robot. He would beat them with their own weapons, Wendell thought savagely. As he circled around and stayed just out of Nunchuck Robot's range, he was able to close in on Purse Robot. As he reached for the bag, time momentarily slowed down, just enough to see a horrified look on Gabby's face as she mouthed, "No," and shook her head. But it was too late. Wendell had already hooked the purse, and it was sliding off the robot's arm. A split second later, all the robot's eyes turned back to flashing red, and all the robots chanted,
"Purse thief!"
and
"Degenerate!"
all the robots converged onto Wendell. He spared a moment to consider how little this was teaching him about patient care before a thrown knife dug into his shin bone. He looked for help as the robots began pelting him. Gappy was trying to pull Pursebot back, but wound up slowing it down at most. Kermit couldn't be seen, and Cent was doubled over laughing. Wendell tried to see if anything helpful was in the purse, but something knocked him off balance, and he fell and knocked his head against the hard concrete. He instinctively covered his head with his arms and felt angry customer bots pounding on him. Another knife found purchase in an exposed area of his waist. The end of a cane, now with an electric prod, found a way past his arm and smashed into his jaw. His head swiveled and the room spun. Wendell began to shake. He was not a fighter. He didn't know how to defend himself. Suddenly there was a loud noise from the dizzying darkness. Wendell felt he was about to vomit, and then everything went black. We'll be back after a word from this week's sponsor, Little Buzzkills Daycare, with 3 convenient locations in beautiful Wax Mine City.
Hi, Sally.
Well, hi, Jane.
Say, Sally, would you like to go grab a bite and have some fun me time? Maybe shopping?
I would love to, but...
What is it?
Well, you see these things? I have children.
Oh, dear, you do, don't you?
Don't laugh, Jane. They're with me all the time. Just look at them. It's embarrassing.
Oh, cheer up. Not many people know this, but I have children too.
You do? But I never see them with you.
And I pray you never will. Want to know my trick?
Boy, do I ever.
I use Little Buzzkills Daycare. They provide complete daycare service, which includes food, clothing, a place to sleep, and stability or something. And it can be all day, all night, all year long if you want, even holidays.
Even their birthdays?
Even their birthdays.
What a relief. Each time they have a birthday, I can't stand it.
Let's hope this year is their last one.
Jane, Little Buzzkill sounds wonderful, but having my children away from me so often, wouldn't that get, well, expensive?
Why, Little Buzzkills has a selection of plans to fit your budget. And let's face it, Sally, do you want to look back at your life and regret all the me time you could have had?
Say no more. Sign me up today.
That's Little Buzzkills Daycare. They parent so you don't have to. Little Buzzkills. Call today.
And now back to our show. Wendell awoke in an emergency room bed. His head throbbed and his throat was parched. He tried looking around, but the room lights burned his eyes. He heard Lucy's voice. Easy, you have a concussion. Wendell slurred. What happened? The patient bot kept its $10. You failed SimLab. Can I go home, please, now? Wendell asked weakly. This was the same feeling he had the first time he spent the night at a friend's house as a child. It was all fun, but at bedtime he missed his home. Of course, there weren't psychotic robots either. A different voice spoke out. Just rest. You can't break your contract. Those were love taps compared to what contract killbots do. I'm Dr. Spector. I head the emergency department. Unfortunately, we see at least one or two of you each year at orientation. May they rest in peace. Lucy is right. Get some rest. We can't have you up and about quite yet, but we have given you something for the pain and nausea." By that evening, Wendell was recovered enough to be released from the emergency department. As a medical resident, he did not have to pay his copay before being allowed to leave. Instead, the copay would be conveniently garnished from his wages, plus interest. Lucy had finished her clinic shift and stopped by to check in on him.
"Now, I didn't want to ask in front of the other residents and embarrass you, but we need to talk, and I'll be frank."
She pointed to the disheveled mess that was Wendell.
"This is unacceptable. You really do need to clean up, and I'm not trying to be mean. As a matter of fact, I want to help. Your success is my responsibility. Now, do you need help getting to your apartment?"
My apartment?
"Yes, where are you living?"
Wendell pointed towards the Hall of Greats. "I slept there last night. We'll probably do it again tonight." Lucy's eyes widened.
"You don't have anywhere to sleep? No. You are not sleeping there again. I'm here to help you."
It was at this point Wendell looked at Lucy and found genuine kindness and concern. She wasn't just worried about how this would affect her standing as chief resident. She was concerned for him as a fellow living being, and he decided to trust her. So Wendell told Lucy everything. About the mix-up with the residency match process on Earth, about proposing to Gale, then getting abducted by the Starship scam Likely, and about how he didn't have a place to live or so much as a toothbrush. Lucy did what she did best. She listened. She didn't interrupt. She didn't judge. She took it all in, and when Wendell was done, there was a long pause while she rolled the information around in her head. Finally, she said,
"Well, shit."
"Yeah, putting it mildly," he added and let out a laugh.
"Okay. Well, first, thank you for telling me. And please know you can come to me and tell me when something is wrong any time. I'm here to help. Now, this evening, you are having dinner with me and my fiancé, Chip, and we're going to come up with a plan to get you sorted."
Wendell was about to decline, not wanting to intrude, but Lucy said,
"I wasn't asking. I'm your chief resident. That's an order."
Lucy went to a phone and called Chip to tell him they would be having a guest for dinner and probably stay the night. Then Lucy and Wendell headed out of the hospital into the muggy evening. Wendell thanked her and felt the weight of the world, at least the weight of Pariah 7. Maybe this part of Pariah 7 ease off his shoulders. At least a little bit. At least for now. And now, a discount story time, discount idea. Perhaps my favorite memory of teaching literature was the brilliant questions from my students like, "Who are you?" and "Why is our real teacher tied up?" Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this show, and if you are enjoying this show, please send it to someone to help get the word out. There is no mail in our mailbag this week, but if you do have questions for me or comments or questions for one of the characters, go ahead and drop me a line. You can email me at mail@discountstorytime.com or click on the link in the show notes, and I will read your comment or the character may answer. So until next week, be sure to play nice with others, be super duper kind to yourself, and as always, remember to laugh. Bye.